Hello, people. Today is Sunday, 23rd of April, 2017. I'm Philipp Druzhinin, and I'm broadcasting straight out of Moscow. So we have the sound, so it's okay. So today we're gonna talk about some ancient floods and the topic of floods. So let me screen share what I'm trying to say. Like, let's see, we have a screen share. Yes, we do have it. So this place is called Mes Ainak, and it's located in Afghanistan. So this is a general view. It's like a mud hill or something like that. So in general, it was found in 2007, maybe something like that. So, and they say this is an ancient Buddhist town, and some artifacts are dated about 5,000 years. Um, they dug up almost or excavated almost 10% of this territory and got stuck on this job. Um, but those Taliban or Al Qaeda people hanging around in Afghanistan got control of this territory where this artifact place is located and it was found. So, like, no archaeologist attempts to excavate or do further research are now cancelled due to this situation. So, and they even made like a documentary called "Save Messainak." So, like, save it and stuff like that. So it's like a Palmyra situation right now in Syria, where it's always bombed by some terrorists and stuff like that. So it's very dangerous because we can lose actual information about this place. So as far as what we have is we have some information that it was used by Buddhists and stuff like that. So, but I don't say it's not correct. I say, like, we have to understand that the city was buried not that long ago. Even though it could be pretty old, maybe 500, 600 years, or maybe even 1,000 years. It was buried not that far long ago. As we can see, the technology is definitely a concrete technology, because the way the stones actually do get destroyed is similar to concrete. Uh, Concrete is falling apart in some places, not just like ordinary stone, which is more tough to break and stuff like that. So it's more solid than just concrete. That's why we see this type of destruction here. All those stages, all those things are also made of concrete, and we can see it in this here. This is concrete. And they saying it's destroyed like that because it's very old. I say it's not that old. It's only made by concrete and stuff like that. Anyways, what we see on the bottom of each statue is something looking to antique style, which is like tunicas and Roman type of or Greek-Roman type of clothes and stuff like that, as the mainstream science says. But they say it's a Buddhist because they found some statues there. As you can see, it's on the top of a hill. So probably all this hill is a city, and they're just not doing the research because it's right now is Taliban territory. As you can see, a huge. How can a mud come on the top of this thing? This is the only thing we can say is that it was done by mining. So miners dumped the waste on those hillsides, and that's why we see all this mud above on this such an altitude. This is the only way. So like a huge pipe of mining waste was dumped here, and that's why this maybe ancient, maybe not that ancient city was buried in this mud. Some artifacts here are very interesting, but the stages are definitely done from concrete technology. So what I'm trying to say is some people really did produce these ancient sculptures and stuff like that. So they definitely were one culture, and the other one was the one who was destroying this place while dumping the mud or mining waste, whatever you call it. So it was another one, another civilization. So two civilizations clash, produces this type of artifact destruction. And if you say what civilization was destroying this one, who knows? Who knows? Probably Afghanistan is the center of Eurasia, so we cannot perfectly say or guess who was against whom. All we know is all history before 19th century was made up or even mixed with some fake facts, and definitely it was more technological era. It was time when people used more efficient and more gigantic maybe technologies. Nothing was impossible to those people, and they could have done whatever, wherever, without no power line, because they could produce power out of air and atmosphere everywhere in any part of this world. So you can like go in the middle of nowhere, do a mine inside, do a build a city or whatever. It was not so difficult as it is right now. And there were locals, people who were living all around the world, and they were like pushed out by some new, more powerful civilization, which I call right now parasitic civilization. It definitely came from other cell, not from this cell. And what they doing is step by step they destroying our past and conquering our space, and they doing whatever it takes to get control of this cell, complete control, because right now they just like a couple of steps before taking the complete control, after which we could be like erased from the cell, and it could be closed for us forever. So this is one place that I wanted to show today. This is another one which is called Rockwall. Rockwall is in Texas. Some pictures show some like this. Some pictures show some blocks. But in general, it could be made by a uh, miners slash masons type of team, where miners produce something that engage the economy of the place, and masonry does the job to contain and preserve the place or the city or the site or whatever it does. So they build something technological which we don't understand. Sometimes it looks like a wall, sometimes it looks like a building, sometimes it looks like a pyramid or whatever, but in general we're just guessing what it was and why it was made, because there's so many explanations. Even I have like 10 or 15 explanations of purpose of some pyramids and stuff like that. So it's like a job of guessing whatever, not taking the real research, because research is prohibited by uh, governments and stuff like that. So is like Rockwall. No one's doing anything to find out what it is really. Like showing all those animations and stuff like that, like saying this is like this. So it's like a huge area, and no one is doing anything to do something to say exactly what is Rockwall. And it's also buried in the mud, just like everything else. This is another example. It's a Switzerland. Like they found this amazing thing, and they dated even to ancient Rome time, like 2,000 years ago and stuff like that. But I say it's a bunch of BS, because look at the quality of this thing. This is not even a bit destroyed by time. 2,000 years past, it should be like dissolved in the water, I think, but it's not. And the preservance of this thing is because it was not that long ago, maybe 300 years ago, something like that. This is the way they found it. Let's see if we're showing. Yes, we're showing. This is the way they found it. This is another one, in fact, which they are not showing to us in a close-up view. So it looks like a flow of mud which was very dense, because things were not pouring outside of these bottles or whatever you call them. They stuck inside because it was dense, and it's not like water and stuff like that. It's just like a mud flood. Look at this. Just a flow of something down there, and layers like this. Okay, let's see. So they saying this is was like, you know, lost by somebody, and just 2 or 3 meters of mud got gathered on it in a couple of like 100 years and maybe 1,000 years, like just like this. It was standing in the way of some dust, and the dust gathered like each year. It was like centimeter, maybe inch, and stuff like that. And this is completely stupid because, you know, when you have like an inch cover of dust here, probably in a year somebody can see that something like this is standing close to his house, and maybe something like that. It can be like, you know, missed forever for like 10 years, because it can be covered with the mud on with the speed of mud covering, as they saying. It's just impossible. So this is definitely was carried by some flow of dense mud, and got stuck in some, you know, creek, or maybe some like where mud was flowing to, or reaching it. So like this. Okay, next one is when I was telling you about the freezing of mammoths in mud, how mud is procedure of mud, the video about this procedure, and I was telling you about the mammoths which were got frozen in the mud flows. We were guessing how that could have been happened, like it was like ice rain and stuff like that, and they got stuck in the mud, and so ice rain, um, ice petrified them, or whatever you call it, you know, ice stoned them, ice rocked them. So like ice was covering them with those little raindrops, which were like immediately turned to ice. But this is not quite correct, because ice can come like this, because I don't think those fish, you know, whatever you call it, like flow of fish, yeah, so as you can see, was very slow. It was operating in a liquid area as water, and they knew it's getting cold, and probably they were, you know, escaping. But as you can see, the whole flow of those fish was stuck in the ice, which is probably impossible, but it was actually like this. Elk got stuck in this ice. Probably the mechanism of ice is not yet uh, well researched, because we have a bunch of these things and stuff like that. So another thing is, like, those guys were digging and drilling the holes for house water supplying, and they also do like this basement stuff like this, drilling, and then they sometimes find something interesting like this here. This is complete thing they found on a 3 meter depth or 2 meter depth. So it's pretty deep, of course, for such thing to get lost and get covered with some mud in 100 years, because it's not that old at all. As you can see, it's definitely from the time of beginning of 19th century. So they were thinking about that this one is like a tale of a bomb from the World War II, but it's actually not, because it looks exactly like thing like from this wheel, which is 19th century metal wheel. So As you can see, crazy things can be found in any yard, in anyone's garden or wherever. If you think that's a hill, you can go dig and you can find a city in Afghanistan. If you think that's just a impossible thing, then you can understand what I'm trying to research, because those floods were numerous, and I can see that the last one was in 19th century, and that's the time when we lost our history, completely lost it, and now we are working on complete control of those parasitic powers that conquered us and took control of this world. Okay, let's see if we have any questions. If these aliens return from time to time for massive mining, gonna be a lot of byproduct waste, a lot of water available. So I don't think that's like aliens in general mainstream way. I think it's aliens from outer cells. So like if we are in center of this universe, as ancient books say and ancient beliefs say, that probably we are somebody surrounds us, some cells surround us. So if those cells were conquered by parasitic races, they could have get inside our cell with some expeditionary uh, small amount of people and conquer us, conquer one country, another country, and stuff like that. So we were destroyed, as I was saying, maybe on the method of Pareto, when you uh, have 20%, which is controlling the other 80%. So you like cut in this pattern 20% off each time, and you can control and produce and stuff like that. So it's like when you talk about the economy, only 20% of your time gives you about 80% of your income, and other 80% of your time give you only 20% of your income. So it's like it's not coming out of nowhere. It's actual research. When you cut 20% by 20%, you can engage your production and engage your thing like this, so nobody can understand that you really enslaved by somebody. And this is the way they do it, and they separate small from the big, and that's how they control it. And that's how they tell us that something was buried like 1,000 years ago, maybe 5,000 years ago, and it's very, very old. But it's not very old because it was buried not that far ago. And they are not telling us this because this is completely destroys all this science and historical concept. Relating to different types of people here on Earth, you said different types of people came from other worlds, and you would have different languages. How do you think they translated their languages? Uh, it's not very hard to translate someone's language if you are smart enough to understand what people show you and to hear what they call in it. You can learn anyone's language. So it's not very hard, I think. So, and that's why we have so many languages, of course, because I wouldn't say languages, I would say language groups. So when you have like totally different group of languages, it definitely came from some other cell or some other world. That's only reason. How can it be, made up out of nowhere? I'm not saying about some secret languages like Latin language or Arabic language, which was used by some scientists types of groups, some, elites. They used it for some reasons, and they encoded those languages for some specific technological affairs that they did. But like Sanskrit, which is definitely was transferred or no, transmutated to some groups of language like Indo-European languages, which is from Britain to Russia. All those languages were made from one language, which is Sanskrit. And it's a well-known fact. They know it. We know it. You can like, put some words from Sanskrit, put some words from English, let's say Russian or whatever language. You can say that a bunch of them were identical in even some letters and pronunciation. They don't jump into a cell. They have a technology of transfer, and each cell has a door or portal to other cells that surround it. So you can like move from side to side, and that's okay because those cells were a union of cells, and that's why it's called universe, because it's uniting all those cells in one structure. Equipment was very easy. I was showing it in a video about ancient teleport. So that equipment was used to quickly move from country to country, city to city, coast to coast, whatever you call it, and even from cell to cell, because in Russian we have like a bunch of tales about moving around those universe cells, going from like 27 cell from this cell, so it's like even more than that. Like, so we have like a radius of 27 cells at least, according um, to Russian tales. No, no, no. Languages were just made up by elites. So each elite could have been, making up the language. But mother languages of the cell, they are different from those that are made up by somebody. So our cell is different because we are talking in some kind of language which is picturing or animating the words. So Sanskrit is the language of animation. When you call some word, you animate it in the brain of the person which is hearing this word. So we are animating the words, and we are picturing it. And those languages which are made up by somebody, they are not animating anything. They are transferring information into your brain. Then you translate it in your mother language or your system language, which is Sanskrit type of group, whatever you call it, language, Indo-European type group. And you translate it into animation, and then only then you comprehend what is actually that language is trying to say. That's the way it goes. So even in some, well, I'll not tell this right now because it's not very good information. So it's a very bad example, of course. But Chinese, of course, they have hieroglyphal or whatever you call it, writings, which are a stamp of some system language encoding in the brain of those maybe DNA structures, and those DNA structures represent and animate these meanings of those stamps or hieroglyphs. So very, very hard to understand for me and to pronounce that and to distinguish these definitions, but it's different from Sanskrit animation. That's why if you don't use Chinese for like a year, you forget it, forget all those stamps, all those hieroglyphs, and it's very hard to remember them all for a person which is not Chinese, because the DNA of Chinese already contains most of the information, and they like only like a HD a hard disk or whatever HD for the processor, memory, whatever you call it, not like we have. But what about massive machinery they required? Where is it? This bunch of the, you know, all this machinery is, okay, let's say like this. I don't have to prove this because it's very obvious. When you go and mine somewhere, you have all these expensive instruments with you, which are pretty precious for you because you bought them from somebody maybe who made them. And when you leave the place, you only leave waste. You leave maybe some parts that are broken. You leave something that's not very important to you for your production mining unit. So you go somewhere else and you pick all these things that are important to you, to your procedures, to your processes, and you take them with you. That's why we don't have like very, very definite proofs of somebody's mining. We only see the procedures. We only see some parts. We see drilling, which are right now springs, and water is pumping out of those springs, and we see some, some evidence of that, but not the instruments, which can be definitely and obviously proclaimed ancient mining technologies, because those miners are gone and they didn't leave anything that is something like very obvious for us. So the cell thing you mentioned, is it the beehive concept? Well, it's not like a beehive concept. Beehive concept is okay for a beehive, but not okay for the world we observe, okay? Because above us is something like water, and how can a water be 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 compared with a beehive? There's no way. So if we have something like a beehive, if we had something like a beehive, we have to have some like closed structures which can be like similar to what we see in the sky. So probably it would be like a roof type of hangar type of no sun type of things. We have a sun, we have a moon, we have some stars, and they look like some illuminating things. Do we see something like that in a beehive? No. So definitely it can be compared to the structure only because it's like hexagonal type of thing. When you look at the honeycomb, cut honeycomb, and you see like hexagonal type of thing. So maybe somebody's can get the image of this thing like this. So when he's thinking about this cell structure, maybe he's thinking about the honeycomb type of structure, a hexagonal type of structure. Maybe if that's okay for his understanding, let it be like this. But I see it different. I see it like water connecting, multi-universe type of thing. So like, and the whole cell is individual from other cells, and those cells have connection to each cell that surrounds it. So it's like very easy to understand, I think. So most of people probably draw this image in their minds when I'm talking about this cell structure. So we still need to open our vibrational minds more, wake up. Well, it's a hard thing to say what we need to do, but what I see is we need to gain control of ourselves, first of all. We have to change the rules. We have to stop wasting our time for some stupid activities that we do. And I'm not saying about revolution. I'm not saying about metrics, rebellion, whatever you call it. I'm not saying about Zionist plan. I'm not saying about anything like this. I'm saying about comprehension, understanding, and realization, realizing that we were fooled, and we were fooled not only because the world is flat, or not only because history is fake. We were fooled in the concept, in the basement of this. So we were fooled that the people that were before us, the civilization that were before us, were more stupid and less advanced than we are. And this changes everything, because if they were more advanced than we are, so probably we are doing something wrong. So we need to stop that, sit in a round table or whatever, and have a discussion, at least, with all those smart people in internet and YouTube. We have a bunch of researchers. We can do a live conference. We can have a, united YouTube and channel, which can be like, take a research role in this world, and leave and press the science towards this concept that there's on something wrong. They need to change, and they need to be closer to the real concept, so they can change the game. Because if they don't see the people want it, how can they do it? Some of them did something against the science, and look what happened to those people. But most of them were shot, or maybe car crashed, or airplane crashed, even disappeared, kidnapped, whatever. Those people are out of this game right now, and nobody is actually proving anything, because they know it's a hard way to be against the world. So we have to, the world has to change towards real knowledge, and the only way we can do it is spreading information, making documentary movies which are made on good quality, and seed those movies in the internet by sharing, and maybe even advertising, promoting those videos via our communities, friends, and people we know. So that's the only way we can change something, because the concept of something new is viral and virus type of thing. So people will easily uh, gain this new information, and like a SpongeBob, or whatever sponge, when it sucks in all this information inside the sponge, it's wet, and it's not like a socket sponge, which is dry. Whatever you press it, nothing comes out of it. So we have to suck in all this information, all this new information, and understand what can we do about it. What can we teach? I'm not saying this is our generation. I'm not saying this is next generation that's gonna do it. I'm thinking about the maybe generation after next generation. So the people in the end of 21st century probably will start to realize what we were talking about right now. Only then, only then the critical mass will be reached. We are only the first people who trying to speak about something like this. This is quite incredible. And in 100 years, they're gonna be talking about us like those pioneers which were, making this information revolution. We cannot overthrow any power right now because we don't have critical mass in any question. We only starting to gain the positions of somebody turning their heads and their view on us. Somebody finding this information in YouTube in those uh, right columns like this. When maybe looking for some Antarctica thing, you gain some information about flat Earth or whatever. So recommended videos like that. That's the only way we can get the attention of those people, because right now we don't have decent documentaries in flat Earth. We don't have decent documentaries in mudflat. Well, in fact we have one documentary about mudflat in Russia already. It was shown on one of these TV channels which nobody is watching. It's not a mainstream TV channel, but we had already one, and it's mixed with all this mainstream information, which is not very true. So um, I'm thinking about completely true information, completely factical information, and covering of all this topic of mud flood, and maybe not even in Russia only. I think we need to have pictures and films, short clips from Europe. I don't think it's very hard to do because we have so many followers already, and I think we'll have like 5,000 subscribers on this channel till the end of this year. So probably next year it's gonna be like 10,000. So in 3 years, I think we have the critical mass from not the critical mass. I think we have followers from most of these hugest cities of Europe and America. So probably everybody can go and film those buried first floors and something like that. So this could be a very decent help from all those people. If somebody wants to work or somebody doesn't, is that the freedom we should have? Well, the work itself is a BS propaganda. So I'm gonna prove it to you in like 5 seconds, like let's say 5 seconds, maybe even more. Well, you have to, you go to your job or whatever, you go for work or whatever every day to earn some money to buy yourself a house, let's say. So when you do it, usually people use mortgages or credits or whatever you call it, loans, and they like stretch the period of this purchase to some 10 to 20 years, maybe even more. So in fact, you can go into the forest with some instruments, and even if you waste a year of your time, you can build yourself a better house, more ecological, more natural, and more maybe decent for your family, whatever you call it. So it's like a year of your life. Uh, when you do it via loan, you waste like a 20 years for the same thing, and you pay like 30 times more than the person who does it with his own hands. When you have a village of such people around you, you can build this house in a week. So everybody like spends a week of their time during this like year, and they build a house for somebody new in their village, maybe a son of somebody, or maybe somebody who arrived into this village, whatever. So when you have a community, it's a lot faster because, oh, just believe me, it's faster. They could have built a city in a year if they arrived in a new place, those ancient people in 19th century. So just imagine how fast could a city really be built at any time if you have instruments, if you have somebody who is well-known uh, construction specialist. So this is just impossible. So you can like, you know, have a freedom not to work if you already built yourself a house, if you built, if you paid your uh, community price, whatever you call it. So you have to just feed your family and your friends, maybe come to you from time to time, and that's it. That's all the work you have to do. If you don't want to work at all, if you don't want to do anything, that's the only work you have to do. And this is not very hard because people who live in the forest, they spend like a week in a year to feed themselves during this year. Only a week to go and catch all these fish once a year, to collect all those mushrooms, all those porcinis and stuff like that. That's only 1 day a year to collect all those berries which contain vitamins, all those precious minerals and stuff like that. All those nuts on the trees. Another day, maybe you can go and shoot a deer and get yourself a meat in an ice cave which you already prepared for that type of purpose. So you can dig a cave, dig a hole, and put a lot of ice in a winter in it. So you can have a fridge during all this summer. And each year you just change these ice blocks, ice bricks, and that's it. So everything could be done in the nature, and you can be totally independent from outside world. And but can you imagine if you have electricity out of atmosphere and you can have this device? This could be a lot more interesting. Just not just you can be online in the middle of some forest, like 300 miles away from the closest small town, and you can be online with anyone and have a YouTube channel, whatever. So you don't have to work if you okay with yourself. Tomorrow we do have critical mass. What happens? I'm not that smart to say what happens, but I guess it would be something that changes this world because we have enough space, we have enough time, we have enough energy, we have enough of everything. The deficit that we see around is made up. It's fraud. And pretty soon I'm gonna talk about ecologism. Ecologism is the way to control people, the way to that's our further religion, which we are gonna have if we are not changing anything. Ecologism is what gonna destroy this world as we know it. So we have enough of everything, and don't believe those who tell us that we are in lack of something. We have enough of everything. They do it this way, so we have to, you know, do an enormous amount of this stupidly spent time, and we gain only nothing. And I'm returning to this Pareto rule that I was talking about. Only 20% of your time give you, just 20% of your time give you the 80% of your income, and 80% of your time give you only 20% of your income. Think about it. We must all get in tune together fast, but not recklessly. It's too important. Our cell already has roots and a shoot. Well, I can understand what is that. Well, we have to tune in. We have to spread information as well as we do it. The thing will unfold, and we can see what's happening. So at the end of the day, I think there needs to a monetary system. Someone needs to work in the factory and build a car while someone wants to watch it TV all day. Well, kind of like that, but I think all these parasitic races around which are conquering those worlds, their use is not just like sitting and watching TV. They need power to be more self-esteemed, to keep their egos high, to have good positive mood every day. This is not just like this. I think the ones who control these elites, these parasitic uh, officers, managers, which controlling our world, I think those people, they know the reason why they're doing it, and we also know it from our books. Their total purpose, their total goal is to connect the dark Navi world with the light Navi world. They need to enter the light Navi world and conquer it, because it's the battle of good and evil, and they want an end of it. And that's how they do it, because we are the door between the world of Navi, of light Navi, which is above us, which is so-called heaven worlds, and they are manipulated by those from dark Navi worlds. So ancient books about Midgard and stuff like that, they are true. The knowledge of ancient people needs to be researched one more time, because although it was edited and re-edited a bunch of times, we can look at it with other information filters which we already obtained. So yes, free power is a given. Totally agree with that one. Of course, great post. Special day. Thanks. Yes, got you on the power and ego. That will take some generation for it to disappear, so we can live in harmony. Yes, of course, because the only way they want us to change things. They want us to do a revolution, so we can destroy what we got. So it would be easier for them to control us when we need to rebuild another civilization. They gain us step by step. Only after those wars, revolutions, or whatever we do. So when we do a war, they get deeper into the control. When we do something like a revolution, oh, that's okay for them. That's pretty fine. And that's the way we also see the manipulation inside this world, politics and stuff like that. That's the way we do it also. That's how they gain the right to control us this way, because we also do it like this. And they used our technology to control us. as a general population, you know. So thanks a lot for watching me today. Next one probably gonna be about ecologism, and see you later, guys. Pretty fun to broadcast today. Bye.